If you get too caught up in the hustle and forget to take time to research the industry you're trying to succeed in, it's very likely that you'll end up plateauing and you'll lose motivation very quickly. So today I'm making a video in celebration of getting a full-time job at 100 Thieves, one of the world's largest esports gaming and apparel organizations in the industry. For those of you who don't know, I've been involved in esports since 2012, and over the years I've been able to pick up on a lot of patterns and trends when it comes to working your way up and getting hired by some of these tier 1 organizations like 100 Thieves, FaZe Clan, Fnatic, Liquid, and so many more. In one of my earlier videos, I talked about how to get a full-time job as a designer using certain principles and techniques, but for anyone that's been in the industry long enough, you might already know that climbing your way up the ladder and making it to the top can be a little bit more complicated than just being good at your job, especially when it comes to things like networking and getting in contact with these massive companies. So today I wanted to talk about 3 major pieces of general advice that can apply to anyone in the industry, whether you're a content creator, marketing specialist, or anyone in the creative scene that wants to get a full-time job in esports. So to start, when I look at the esports scene, there's generally 2 paths that people can take when it comes to getting hired by their dream organization, and that is 1, you get extremely lucky, or 2, you invest in your career over time. Today we're going to be more focused on the second path, which is the one that worked for me. I've obviously seen rare cases of creators and artists shooting their 1 in a million shot and getting noticed by their favorite streamer or team, but the safer option that will almost guarantee your future and position in this industry is to take things slow and gradually build them out over time. So how do we do that? Starting off with number 1, the first piece of advice I have for those looking to land an esports job is to focus on the community and your network. So you can picture it like this. There are generally 5 layers to the community that start with those that don't know esports, those that are aware of esports, those that engage in esports, those that engage with the esports community, and those that lead the esports community. So for the most part, people will start on the outside and get stuck on the second or third layer, but to make your way up, the most important step is going to be that jump from engaging in esports to engaging in the community itself. So there are a few ways you can do this, and some quick pieces of advice I have to offer is to 1, grow with the people in your current circle that want to grow with you. So the reason why I'm friends with industry leaders is not because I reached out to them when they were already successful. The reason why I know them is because when I started out, they were starting out with me. So as you grow, your friends are going to grow with you, and it's important to surround yourself with people that want to succeed as much as you do. Number 2, you also want to start building your brand and your name. Think about your goals, your personality, how you're going to separate yourself from others, and where you want to be when you finally make it to the top of the ladder. And I mean that genuinely. Ask yourself these questions first, write them down on paper, and remember them. Because most people will skip these details since they want to get right into the content, but they're the most important parts to starting your journey off on the right path. And lastly, number 3 is to just actively engage with others on social media. People seem to underestimate the power of replying and commenting on other people's posts, especially when it comes to Twitter, which is, by the way, going to be your most useful tool in esports. So if you don't have a Twitter, make one right now. It is the only way you'll get in contact with these big organizations. The main point is, though, when you focus on posting content just on your own page, you're not going to get any engagement because people won't be able to find you, right? But when you start replying to others, commenting on your friends' posts, sharing your ideas, participating in the community, that's when people will start to recognize your face and you start to expand your reach in the industry. And I feel like I don't need to say this, but this does not act as an invitation to spam your favorite team or streamer's Twitter by promoting your content. Seriously, do not do that. It will get you nowhere. I'm talking about real engagement where you show genuine interest in being actively involved with the community. One of the most important details that helped me grow faster and faster in the industry is that if you grow the community, you will grow with the community. So if you feel like you've got networking and the community down, my second piece of advice is to start doing your research and finding a way to communicate your ideas, and that means being able to sell your work, recognizing and doing what's different, and identifying weak points in the industry. This is a really big one. So if I look back at my personal journey, almost every massive milestone in my career started with me taking a step back from creating and just thinking to myself, let's say I know my content is quality enough to push me to the next step, whether I'm a streamer, designer, editor, so on. If I'm not growing, it means that I must be missing or lacking something that the community wants to see. So I'll ask myself, am I doing something different, whether it's the content itself or even my personality, my style as a brand? What is allowing me to stand out from another person who is equally skilled, trying to do the exact exact same thing as me. So if I can't think of anything, I'll move on to this question, and that is, what does the industry look like right now, and what is it missing that people want to see more of? As a personal example, back when I first started in esports, I was a montage editor, and in around 2016, I asked myself this and thought, you know what, I've been getting into design lately, and I've noticed there's a lot of editors, there's a lot of graphic designers in esports, but there's not a lot of motion designers, despite it being super popular. So I took advantage of this observation, I honed my editing and design knowledge into some basic motion and animation skills, and within 3 months, I found myself working for my first major organization, the Obey Alliance, as a motion and graphic designer. If you get too caught up in the hustle and forget to take time to research the industry you're trying to succeed in, it's very likely that you'll end up plateauing and you'll lose motivation very quickly. The most common ways to separate yourself are going to be in your style of content or your quality, your knowledge, or your personality, and these are all things to keep in mind when building your brand. After you recognize these details, it's important to sell yourself as an expert in what you do, so emphasize your strong points and make it very clear to others what you do and what you're about. By being very specific about your goals and content, you'll be able to climb the ladder much faster, and your voice will become very clear to your audience. Nobody likes a brand that is confusing or doesn't have a clear goal or purpose, right? Even if you are a single person, you have to look at yourself as a brand or business, figure out what your mission is, and make it obvious for other people to identify it. So that's some general advice to help you start up your research and hopefully find your place in the community. The last piece of advice is so important but so overlooked, and that is this idea that bridges can be destroyed just as easily as they can be built. So this idea in particular is very close to esports, and relating back to this concept that the community is extremely small once you get into the inner circle, the last thing you want to do is have your audience get halved by involving yourself in drama or possibly losing a potential job with your favorite organization because you've got a bad relationship with one of the people that work there. And the more you grow, the more your voice is going to be heard. So I'll just keep it very brief for you. Stay out of drama, recognize that your words are now going to stick in this industry, and try to keep building your network rather than tearing it down. I've seen way too many people that deserve to be at the top lose their big opportunities for these reasons, so it's important to keep this in mind as you grow. And lastly, as a bonus, do what makes you happy. At the end of the day, you're putting in all this work because you love what you do, and it's important to keep in mind that this is a journey. It'll have its ups and downs, but if you be yourself, you'll be happy where you end up no matter what happens, right? So those have been my biggest pieces of general advice for those looking to work for some of their favorite teams in esports. If you have any other questions, you can find me on Twitter and Twitch at Nowack Design. I'm live every Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time teaching content similar to what you watched today. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.